Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Canadian Gamers. And that's getting very old because I think I say that every single bloody time. So, as always, I'm here with Steven. I never say your last name, although I thought it was quite funny in the last podcast, or whatever we did. You were like, and this is Jarrod Nickel. Yes, it is. I'm almost amazed you didn't say executive director of ProjectCoe.com.
No, that's I don't want to steal your thunder. We should make it come back, by the way.
Yeah, I was actually thinking of doing that in one of my next reviews, just for shits and giggles. Alright, so let's get this show on the road.
Get this party started.
Woo! You should start singing again.
We said last podcast that we would end with something special. We should end with a song this time.
Yeah, you can sing it. Go for it. You have a better voice than I do.
I do, actually. Thank you.
You're welcome. Alright, so, Smash Brothers just hit the 3DS over in Japan, and I'm hearing that it did pretty good over the weekend.
Yeah, apparently it sold 10 times as much as the second place in Japan, which is, do you know what it is?
No, what is it?
The first place in North America, which is Destiny.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Sold 10 times as much, which means by my math that Destiny sold 100,000 in Japan.
Yeah, wow, that's actually much.
That's pretty good, actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's very good.
Basically, Smash Brothers sold 1 million copies in the first week or the first weekend, which is pretty fantastic. And I think it doubled the sales of the 3DS for that week or something like that. So it's doing fantastic over there, and that's a huge success story for Nintendo because they weren't sure how the handheld version would sell. And I think releasing it before the Wii U version ended up being a smart move because that way they're going to be able to sell both versions as much as possible.
Yeah, it's smart, I think, because it'll act like a catalyst. So if there's anyone on the fence about the Wii U version, if they really like the 3DS version, it almost acts like, well, it's not a demo, but you know what I mean? Like, it basically gives them an incentive to go out and buy the HD version. I know they're not the exact same game, but still, it'll act like a catalyst to hopefully bring in a whole bunch of new people to the Wii U over in Japan. And I think the same thing actually is going to happen here in North America and in Europe, because Smash is a huge franchise. And I mean, just look at what we talked about there the other day there with the demo going for like $30 and up on eBay. So I mean, that's a very good sign for Nintendo. And I just wanted to update something that we had talked about last time. We had mentioned that Dragon Quest X had, done gangbusters. Well, it turns out Square Enix are utterly mental. The game actually sold in its debut week. It wasn't even the highest selling game of the week. It debuted in number 2, and it sold like 50,000 units, or some, maybe not even that. I don't remember. I had it written down, and now I lost the stupid paper. But needless to say, Square Enix, you guys have really lost it. You no longer have touch with what's going on in the gaming industry. Because to release Dragon Quest X on the 3DS, your number one selling platform, to release such few copies and then be like, oh, well, whoops, the demand was way higher than we thought. Yeah, no kidding. Try releasing like at least, I don't know, 200,000 or something. Anyway, I just wanted to give a little quick update on that. But back to Smash Brothers. Yeah, that's huge news.
Yeah, it is. I think we've covered pretty much everything about the game. I know I'm pretty excited about it. I've played a lot of the demo so far, and I really like what I'm seeing, and I can't wait to play with the other characters, and I hope that you give it a chance.
Yeah, I hope so too. It's basically I'm going to be a brand newbie, as I'm just going to have to start from scratch and learn the mechanics and how it works and go from there. So the other big news from just a few days ago, actually, was the confirmation that Microsoft has purchased, how do they say their name? Is it It's not Mahjong.
Mohang or something, I think.
Yeah, anyways, whatever. The company that's responsible for Minecraft. So, in essence, they have one game, these guys. So, Microsoft bought Minecraft for, it was...
$2.5 billion.
Oh, you ruined it! I was going to give a little thing.
But I want to know what you think about that transaction.
Okay, for me, honestly, I don't know enough about Minecraft. Like, I know it's a huge game, but like what I was telling you yesterday or this morning or whenever, I'm a little bit perplexed because Disney purchased Star Wars, which is an international, massive franchise. Even forget the prequels, just the original trilogy was bringing in billions of dollars in revenue a year. And they paid like, I think it was 4 or 4.2 or something like that $billion for Star Wars. Now think of that. Microsoft paid more than 50% of that to buy one game. Now I know that this is a big game, and I know that it's played by millions and millions of players around the world, but I don't know enough about the game. Like, to me, when I saw that, I was like, what? I was like, is it truly worth $2.5 billion? And now, for me, looking at this, I'm like, well, man, they are going to microtransaction the living shit out of that game to make that money back. Because I'm not sure how much money Minecraft generates over the course of a year, but if it's...
How I can help you? Last year, Minecraft made around $375 million.
Well, there you go. $375 million isn't enough to justify $2.5 billion. That means they're going to do some major stuff with that. I don't know if they're gonna release tons of DLC type stuff, and I know I've heard apparently that all the main patches or the main whatever you want to call it are free. I expect that to stop because they have to make up $2.5 billion within a year. If they can't do that, or 2 years, 3 years, there's no way that this is going to be like a 20-year commitment. That doesn't make any sense. This is one game. They have no idea if this is going to continue to grow for another 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. So, for me, I don't know. I don't know what their thinking is. I know it's a huge game. I mean, I get that. And I know that there's, I've seen like foam swords at like EB Games and stuff like that for like $40, even though it costs like 30 cents to make. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know. What about you?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that I'd like to say and talk about on a lot of things you said. The first thing, I think you're wrong about them having to make back that money in 2 years. I think what they bought with that the franchise, I think they're probably not going to make their money in another 10, 15 years with that transaction. Because if you think about it, Minecraft has been out for like 5, 6 years, maybe a bit less, and it's still popular, but it's peaked. Like it made $355 million last year. The chance of it making that again this year are not that high. It's gonna slow down, and eventually it's not gonna make that much money every year. So if the franchise keeps, let's say, going at around $300 million a year, for some reason it keeps staying like that, it's gonna take them about 10 to 12 years to make their money back. Having said that, most players already bought the game now. Well, and there's not many more players that are gonna jump in eventually. So, and DLC and stuff like that, it's not something that's part of Minecraft, because Minecraft is a game that's open to everyone, and there's lots of mods and lots of hacks around that pretty much makes Minecraft a game that has like unlimited versions of it. So even if Microsoft plans on releasing, let's say, Minecraft 2 in a year or two, it might not be the huge success that Minecraft 1 was, because players have already created Minecraft 2, Minecraft 3, and all kinds of other Minecraft over the years. But I was listening to a French reporter on CBC on the radio yesterday, and he was talking about how Microsoft might incorporate Minecraft its strategy into their new Windows 9 platform, because as you probably know, Windows 8 was a complete failure for them. And how they'd want to do that is incorporate features of Minecraft into their new iOS and new stuff like that to try and gain loyalty and bring people over their platforms and their phones and their mobiles and stuff like that. So maybe the larger picture here is that their purchase of Minecraft is not really like they're gonna make money with this game. They're gonna make money. They're gonna create a sequel. They're gonna do all kind of stuff. There's still games that are coming out. Like Minecraft is still. I think they're working on a PS4 and Xbox One version. I think it might be out, and there's a Vita version coming out. Obviously, after the game will be exclusive to the Xbox system from now on. After those versions are done, but still, there's lots of money to be made for a while. But I don't think they're gonna make back that 2.5 billion until 10 years if everything goes planned. And the thing is, Microsoft is the type of company that can make a transaction like this and take a cut and make their money back in a long while because they can afford to. So that's what I think that the reason they bought this is more to try and bring more customers and try to take some money out of its competitors' pockets and bring it into theirs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with the long-term commitment, but that's why, like, for me, that's why I was relating it back to, like, Star Wars. I mean, I understand, like, 2, 3, even 10 years, it's potential, like, that might never happen. It's just, for me, it was just the amount. Like, you've got to be right in the sense of a larger sort of plan here, because 2.5 billion for one property, it just seems, especially Minecraft, like, I don't know. It just, there's got to be more to this than just the game itself and the property, because I just don't get it. If Star Wars is worth let's say $4 billion, how is Minecraft worth 2.5?
It's definitely hard to justify that transaction. I'm pretty sure Microsoft has a plan in there, but you have to take into consideration that there's not that many Star Wars brands around, so they have to buy something. When you have to make a movie, you have to buy something, and Minecraft was not gonna be cheap, and maybe that's the price they had to pay to get it. Should they have? Well, history will tell us if they should have done that transaction.
Yeah, we'll see. I know that the fans right now are sort of, from what I've seen online with YouTube videos and stuff like that, there's a lot of people who are kind of worried because
Minecraft fans hate this deal because the future of Minecraft is not doubt now. I'm not sure if it will stay an open game. So yeah, I can see how fans are.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, let's also remember that. Look at what happened to Rare after they bought. After Microsoft bought them. Look at what happened to Lionhead Studios after Microsoft bought them. Like these guys have a reputation for just, I don't know, the creative juices at these companies just sort of get sucked up and just go away. But anyways, moving on, so we don't have to talk about this forever. But I'm actually curious, for those listening to this, I'm really curious to hear what your thoughts are. Why did Microsoft pay $2.5 billion, and what do you think are like some of the long-term goals that Microsoft has with this? I mean, I do like what you're saying about the Windows 9. That's definitely a possibility, and I'm kind of curious to see what comes of this. Now, speaking about another Microsoft company that sort of broke away, we're going to talk very, very quickly. I just wanted to mention one thing about Destiny. Finally, like, I'm over the level cap right now, and I kind of understand why all the reviews are coming out basically saying that this is the lowest rated Bungie game of all time, if you look at Metacritic and sites like that. And I'm starting to understand why that is. This is the type of game that, if you haven't played it yet, it caters to one type of person. It's got a phenomenal FPS sort of foundation, so the game plays very well. However, it is essentially a giant grind. It's unbelievable how repetitive almost every single aspect of the game is. There's essentially 4 maps which is where all the missions are broken down to onto those 4 maps. And that's it. There's 6 strike missions, which again are part of those same maps. And if you want gear, before you can get into a raid, unless you do the PvP, which again, PvP only has a set number of arenas and gameplay modes, but that's to be expected. But yeah, going back to the raid thing, you have to replay those 6 strikes over and over and over, repeatedly, maybe 50, 60, 200 times before you will be geared up enough in order to tackle the raid. And then the raid is crazy hard, and if you want all the gear from the raid, you're gonna have to run that raid every week from now for the next like 4 months or something. So it's very similar to an MMO in that regard, except that it's just not as open, it's not as diverse as a full MMO. So I can understand why a lot of people are starting to go, well, it's fun, but after you finish the main story mission or main story campaign, like, I'm done, you know? Unless you're that type of guy who plays Diablo every single day, trying to get that one sword that drops off, you know, a certain character or a certain boss or whatever, and you've been playing for months and months and months and months and months or years, well, Destiny just might not be for you.
Yeah, I agree with what you said. I don't have really much to add. I think it's not going to be... It's going to get fairly average scores on Metacritic, but it's still going to sell a crap load of copies, and that's really all that matters for Bungie, I believe. And it's not a bad game per se, it's just... Like, I don't think this... It's sad because it's going to be their most successful franchise, while Halo, to me, should be what we remember Bungie for.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what happens moving forward. I mean, the game did just launch and whatnot, but I'm curious. I'm curious to revisit this in 6 months and see sort of what's happened, because they're really going to have to change things up, listen to the fans, and go from there. Because if they don't, I have a feeling that this might not last as long as they're hoping. But anyways, we'll see. All right, so the last little bit of news that I have, some Sony news here for our PlayStation fans, and unfortunately it is not good. Sony just revised their forecast for the next quarter, and it's pretty bad. They're saying that their cell phone market has basically collapsed in on itself, and instead of making a $1.2 billion profit, they are now looking at a $466 million deficit, or basically being in the red. Now, if you're the CEO, Kaz Hirai, who was the old PlayStation boss back in the day, I would be kind of nervous right now, because this marks the 6th time he's come out and did a downward revision since he took over the CEO from Howard Stringer. Now, the thing with this is, when he was brought on, he said the number one goal was to sort of restructure Sony so that they stop bleeding money and so they can start to make some profits again. And obviously that has yet to happen, even though PlayStation has been quite the success in the last year or two. Well, more like the last year. You know, if the company can't stop hemorrhaging money, we very realistically could be looking at a future with no Sony, forget about video games, just as an entire company. And it's really not looking good. They are losing hundreds and hundreds and billions of dollars every year now, and that cannot last for very much longer.
And as for me, I'm just going to talk quickly about two little things. First is the NHL 15. You might have heard about it. We talked briefly after last week's podcast, I believe, about how EA pretty much quickly butchered NHL 15 onto the new generation consoles, and even the Xbox 360 and PS3 port are basically NHL 14 with roster updates, which is pretty terrible, especially since they're charging full price for the game. And NHL 15 on the PS4 and Xbox One doesn't even have regular features like season mode, which have been in the NHL franchise since NHL 93 on the Super NES. So that's really, really bad when you release a brand new game for $60 and it's basically missing every single feature that makes the game really great. Like just playing online co-op NHL has been there since NHL '09, I believe, and or NHL 10, and it's the best feature by far about the game, and it's not even in there. So there's simply no reason, and it's gonna be the first NHL game I don't purchase since '03, I believe. So they're really pissing off a lot of fans right there, and I hope they get their shit together. And they say they're gonna release free DLC and bring back those features in, but chances are, the odds are, they're not gonna release like 10% of what's missing. So they really have a big issue right now that they need to resolve to please fans, and I hope they do because it's one of my favorite series. But so far, it's not looking like a promising future for NHL fans and video games.
I actually had a question for you, Steven. This is all on you, okay? If you don't remember, that's okay. Do you remember when the series first launched on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360? Was it also stripped down when they moved to a new engine, or did they at least have a lot of the core features?
I do remember when it launched on the Xbox 360, it was a huge, because it was in NHL 07, it was when they announced the new stick controls, when you control your player and your everything from the player with the two sticks, so it became a twin stick game, and that was exclusive for the Xbox 360 version, and I believe it started on the PS3 with NHL 08, but it might have been in NHL 09, but anyway, it's probably 08, and basically it wasn't a stripped down version. Like the Xbox 360 version was actually the best version out there because it was the only version that had the twin stick controls, and that's where it began. So yeah, it's not the same scenario.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure there. So yeah, no, I mean, I already said my piece, but off camera, as it were, or off mic. But yeah, no, I hate that kind of crap. I mean, I can understand when you move to a new engine. I do get that. I understand that you don't have enough time because these are yearly iterations to, just get everything you want done. And I get that. That's okay. That makes sense. But not to have features that were there since the SNES, that is retarded. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So, I don't know. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. And I don't get this. If these sports games, like all of their sports games, are huge sellers and they're trying to, make it better and better each year, why the hell don't they do like the Call of Duty sort of method where they have 2 studios or 3 studios working? And I mean, as long as they're making the money on these games, it would be well worth the investment. They would get, better and better every time because they would have multiple studios and multiple years to fix different issues. Like, I never understood that. Like, for a game like this one, you want to hype this up because it's on the brand new system, so you want it to be, as great as it possibly can. So work on it for 3 years if it's necessary. I never got that.
Yeah, apparently it was supposed to be in development for 2 years, but we realized quickly that it wasn't true. And having said all those things you just mentioned, it's fine that it's taking time and it's understandable, but then don't release the damn game if it's not ready.
Exactly.
Or if you do, release it at a budget price. Like, release this game for $20 and we can digest some of those cuts. But don't release it for $60 and act like nothing's happening there. Like, that's how you lose fans.
Yeah, exactly. You said it. That was perfect.
And lastly, what I have is a bit of a little news that I just found out. It's basically related to a pretty sweet series on the original Nintendo DS that not many people know about, but there were basically 2 games released by Renegade Kid. Well, it was developed by Renegade Kid and published by a company I think was called Gamecock, if you believe it or not. And those games are Dimension, The Ward, and Dimension 2, which were pretty kick-ass survival horror games that kind of controlled like first-person shooters on the Nintendo DS, where you had to use the stylus as the C-stick kind of, and those were scary as crap. I actually played those games, and man, those were fantastic games for the Nintendo DS. And unfortunately for Renegade Kid, the developer of those games, they did not have the rights to this series. But now Joel's Washman, which is the founder of Renegade Kid, just tweeted, and I quote, "I'm ecstatic to announce that Renegade Kid now has the rights to create Dementium sequels. Excite. Dementium sequels were tied up with previous publisher, but no more." So there we go. We have confirmation that we probably should expect a Dimension 3, not this year, but maybe next year or the year after that for the 3DS, which would be fantastic because this is the kind of game you don't see often on a Nintendo Portable, and I'd really like it to happen. Of course, they're working on some other stuff like that, like Moon Chronicles and even a sequel to Mutant Mud, so it might not happen anytime soon, but just knowing that it's a possibility is something that I'm really glad to know.
Cool. That's something I'd like to actually check out. If it's a good survival horror game, you know me, I like me some survival horror. That would be very cool.
Yes, it would.
And speaking of survival horror, apparently more and more previews are coming out for The Evil Within, and apparently it's actually looking more and more creepy as the game goes on, so I'm looking forward to that. Are you going to check that one out?
Well, we'll see. I might not be able to play that. Like, on a portable, I can sometimes be able to play a bit, because it's... Well, I don't know, man. We'll see. You'd have to be here and hold my hand while I play.
I can't believe you're going to be a father.
Yeah.
I can't believe this.
Yeah. Poor kid.
Perfect. Well, that's pretty much all she wrote on my end.
Yeah, it is for me too.
All right, guys.
Sing
well,
us a song and say goodbye.
No, I'm not singing nothing. You can sing a song. Go for it.
Come on, let's do a duo. At least a duo. You know the lyrics better than I do, so come on.
I'm not singing nothing.
Alright guys, well I guess we're gonna keep that song for the next one. I'm gonna try to make Jarrod have the balls to sing, and we'll do it next time.
Don't listen to him. It's never gonna happen.
Well, give us comments below if you want to see us sing. We'll sing. We'll sing. I need 2 comments, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, 2 comments isn't gonna do it. I expect 500. Alright guys, thanks a lot for watching. And we'll be back soon with another episode. Take care.
Do